Our last one is a vegetarian tortilla soup. This is a recipe that I have recently just fallen in love with. It's so good. Let me grab my bags. I am using reusable bags during this class. I actually saved some of my older bags for this recipe because I'm going to put tomato sauce in it. Every so often the bags get a little stained. I don't think you'll be able to see this on camera, but these ones are like slightly stained. And that doesn't bother me. Like, I'm just reusing them anyway, and I kind of use those stained bags for the tomato sauce recipes. Here's what we're adding to our vegetarian tortilla soup. The first ingredient is carrots. Now, I bought these baby carrots at Costco. I actually got 2 bags of these. They were connected, but I'm gonna use them in our soup. It's just an easy way to sneak an extra veggie into this recipe. And I love buying baby carrots because even though there are some extra ones, my 3-year-old actually likes baby carrots. It might be the only vegetable she likes, but she likes them. So I didn't mind even having an extra bag of these on hand because she'll eat them and maybe it'll convince me to eat some too. So these are, since they're already peeled, they're just really easy to like quickly slice and add to the bag. This is a vegetarian recipe. I'm not gonna add any meat, but I have tried this recipe before with chicken and it's so good. So if someone in your family is a big meat eater, they will not eat vegetarian, I would just add some chicken breasts. They can be to the freezer bag, it could be the day of cooking, and then shred that chicken after cooking. It's really delicious in this meal. I think I did about 1 pound when I've done it that way. So we wanna get about 1 cup of baby carrots in each bag. I'm just gonna eyeball this. I'm gonna add a couple more. I was talking to one of my friends the other day and she told me she's like, I'm not good at cooking. She knows I have a cooking business, this is what I do. And she's like, I'm just not good at cooking. Like, I get it, Kelly, you do that, but I'm not good. And I wanted to say, like, do you know my recipes? Because you don't have to be good at cooking to make these meals. They're so simple. You saw me make like almost like that marinated chicken and pork loin. Nothing is fancy. None of it's even done at the stovetop. So I don't even know if it counts as cooking per se, but so simple. So is that you? Are you scared of cooking or maybe you don't enjoy it? If so, don't you worry. I got you with these recipes. I think these are great if you love to be in the kitchen. I'm kind of the person who likes to be in the kitchen. I love to bake. I love to cook, but I just don't have the time for all of it all the time. So whether that's you or whether you're scared of cooking or just haven't had a lot of experience with it, I think these meals are going to work for you no matter what. Let's do a couple more in that first bag. I felt like I was skimping a little. It always helps to have a couple extra carrots in your meal. And so let's imagine life for a minute if you made all these meals. If you made 12, what would it be like? So first of all, if you make them in the crock pot, in the morning, you're just gonna go ahead and take your bag, you're gonna dump it into your crock pot, and you're gonna turn it on. Like, no opening cans, no rushing to get something in there. It's just done. If you use the labels, then someone else will know if you have someone else starting the meal for you, or maybe you have a partner, a spouse, a teen who's putting these meals in the crock pot for you. They would know what to do too with the label. And then I'll do a cooking demo for you too in a little bit. But just imagine you're putting these in there, or maybe it's the end of the day, it's 3 o'clock and you're like, what am I making for dinner? Like, I really don't want to have to go to the store, stop at the store. And you're like, oh, what about those freezer meals? I'll just put it in my Instant Pot and it'll be ready for dinner. So great. So then you're just putting it in there and there's no cleanup. You already emptied every can. You already did all the measuring and everything. That's all done. If you have a reusable bag, you'll have to quickly wash it 60 seconds, but that's it. And then dinner is done. Like, you set it, you forget about it, and you have a healthy home-cooked meal. You can really easily just add maybe rice on the side or veggies. This tortilla soup, I said, on the recipe it says serve with top with shredded cheese, crushed tortilla tips, and guacamole. Those are simple. You don't have to cook those. You just serve them with it on the side. I'm going to put an onion in here. Now, the recipe calls for a red onion, but I decided to use these frozen onions. Let me grab a measuring cup here. I decided to use these frozen onions. These are my favorite time-saving hack. No need to cut onions and cry about it. You could just buy this little bag at your local grocery store from the freezer section. I bought it here for $1. So I tried to convince myself to get a big bag of onions at Costco and I failed. I was like, I'm just gonna buy one of those $1 bags and quickly add it. So I am subbing out my red onion for these regular white onions. Fun fact about me is I actually don't love red onions. I've eaten them in this soup before, but I just recently decided I don't love red onions, which is funny because I am not picky. I'll eat basically anything, but not that you cared to, now you know. Everything you never wanted to know about me. So we added the white onions, and then I need a lime for juice. I already juiced up those limes, so I'm just gonna add 2 tablespoons of juice to each bag. This is such a fun, like Mexican flavor inspired soup. And just a real crowd pleaser. I feel like everyone who's I've made this recipe so many times. I feel like everyone who's had it like loves it. Really good. Good for picky eaters. All right, let's add corn. Now the recipe calls for frozen corn. I was at Costco, I saw their canned corn, it was a great deal, and I was like, for soup, it really doesn't matter. You could do canned corn, you could do fresh corn, cut off the cob, I've done that. You could do like the frozen corn that it calls for, it doesn't matter. I just thought this was a great deal at Costco, so I bought this and I am using it. I had rinsed it. I opened my cans ahead of time, rinsed it, dump it in. What else? We have olive oil, 3 tablespoons of olive oil. Okay. I don't know if you've seen me all class, but I have been wiping my hands and my measuring spoons and cups on my apron. Now, I'm not a huge apron person, or I wasn't in the past, but then I was making freezer meals with my mom. We've made 28 at once. We made 40 once when I was pregnant with, I think, my 4th baby. And my mom saw me using like a whole roll of paper towels and just kind of like cleaning up and wiping things off as I go. And she said, why don't I just sew a towel onto an apron and you can wipe your hands and clean up as you go. And that was like life-changing. It's like, oh my gosh. So I wish I could stand up so you could see it. I'm not tall enough, although I will tell you there is so much mess on it right now. I've already wiped so much on it as we've been going. I really found this to be like essential while making freezer meals. And my mom ended up opening her own Etsy shop where she sells these. Like she has now sold, I think, over 1,000. She's only one person. Now she's been doing this for like over a year, like years. But you can buy them. There's a link in your freebie after class. If you want to buy one, I would buy it ASAP because she does sell out. She can only make so many, but she's just so good at sewing. And like, I love that she came up with something that helped me so much. And they're just so useful when you're making freezer meals. They make great gifts too. I've given it to friends before and they're just so fun to have it when you're making meals. All right, we're done with our carrots. What else do we need to add to this meal? Crushed tomatoes and then black beans. Now the black beans, I also bought these at Costco in bulk. I opened my cans ahead of time. I actually once had a class where my can opener broke. Not fun. So now I open them all ahead of time and I rinse and drain these too ahead of time. So that's done. And we have crushed tomatoes. These were a 3-pack at Costco. So I get to use all 3. I'm going to use them in our soup. Since I bought the corn and the black beans at Costco, and they came, I think, in packs of 8, so we do have some left over. Now I use beans and corn in other recipes like all the time, so I wasn't worried about having some left over in my pantry, but you could also add them to the cilantro lime chicken. I was thinking about how great it would be since we had reviewers who said I loved it with beans and corn. So I actually tried that last night. We had cilantro lime chicken that I had made before. And I added the corn and the beans right to the freezer bag and it was so good. Like I would actually recommend it. So I'm not gonna do that for all of my meals. I think I'm gonna add, so I had opened these extra. I think I'm gonna add beans and corn to one of them. I'm not gonna do it to all of them because then you can't grill it. It's up to you. If you're not going to grill it, if you know you're going to put it in the crock pot or the Instant Pot, you could add those beans and corn to every single meal just to use up more, like not have any leftovers from Costco. But it's up to you. These are your meals. Make them your own. I was even thinking it might be so good to add a block of cream cheese. So I have this salsa verde chicken recipe. That's chicken, Mexican seasonings, and then black beans and corn. You cook it in the crock pot or Instant Pot. You shred the chicken, and then you just put a block of cream cheese on it. It melts. You mix it up. It's so good. It's like, and I'm like, I know this is going to work. So I think I'm going to do that with this one that I'm freezing. The other two we might grill or just want like shredded chicken. So I'll leave those that way, but it's totally up to you. Make these meals your own. Let's see. Oh, I know. So Dallas Wedding Photography messaged me, "Hey Kelly, I have been a fan of freezer meals for years, but I don't do it consistently enough because it's not easy to find recipes. Well, no more. I'm so happy I discovered your membership site and you. This afternoon I made 12 freezer meals. My grocery pickup was only $160 and it only took about an hour and a half to assemble them with the help of my 3-year-old. Just wanted to say how much I love your membership." So thank you for messaging me. I'm glad these meals are working for you too. I love hearing that. Let's see what else we need. Oh, this is my secret ingredient. The secret ingredient in this recipe is a chipotle pepper. These are those canned chipotle peppers in adobo sauce. Don't forget about this. You want to include this in your meal. It adds a little bit of smokiness to the recipe. It's one of those things, you're going to make this recipe and you're going to be like, what is that? Like, I can taste something and it's so good, but like, you maybe can't put your finger on it. It's going to be kind of like a smokiness that comes from these peppers. So I want to do one pepper. I'm trying to find the right size. I'm going to do one pepper in each. It's not super spicy. It's just very, very flavorful. Like I said, adds that smokiness. And you can freeze whatever's left in the can. Instead of those going to waste, you can just put those in a bag and freeze them. And then next time you make this soup, or if you make chili, this is really great in chili too. That way you would just always have some on hand for your recipes. It just like makes this meal so good. Is anyone cooking for like 1 or 2 people? Most of my recipes are written for 4 or 6 servings, but it's really easy to adapt if you're cooking for less people. What I recommend is splitting each recipe into 2 freezer bags. So that way you're still using all of the ingredients and you're getting double the meals. So that way, even a can of beans, you don't want to only use half a can of beans. You want to use the whole can, right? So you just take your can, you split it between 2 bags, you freeze it, you cook it in a smaller slow cooker, maybe 2 to 4 quarts, or a smaller Instant Pot, same cooking time. But that's just a really easy way to adapt for less people. Let's see if we have, I think all we have left are our seasonings, which for this recipe are dried cilantro, I'm using that one again, salt, garlic powder, ground cumin, chili powder. We're gonna add, I'm like wondering if I can eyeball this. I think a little over 2 teaspoons to each one. Is that right? Oh no, 2 tablespoons. Whoops. All right. So this way, just a really flavorful, delicious meal. Dump what's left in. Perfect. We have our seasonings. And then from Costco, I bought, instead of vegetarian broth, vegetable broth, I bought this Better Than Bouillon base. I think this was like, I was going to say $5 or something. It was very affordable and had so much in it. Like it can make so many cups of broth. So what I am going to do is add 4 teaspoons to each bag, or I'm just going to do a rounded tablespoon. And then add, the day of cooking, add 5 cups of water. So you would do 4 cups of water if you were just doing a broth equivalent. It's like 1 teaspoon to 1 cup broth, but I'm going to do 5, just, cut down on the sodium, make it a little bit healthier. I think it's plenty of flavoring. So you can either do this, buy this at Costco, like I said, really affordable. And that way you don't need to add anything extra the day of cooking. You already have this in there. You just need water. You don't need to make sure you have broth on hand, or buy the vegetable broth. Like seriously, you can do Whatever you want, whatever you like, these are going to be your meals for your family. So totally up to you. I am using that. And then I think we are ready to seal all these, add the meat and seal them. So let me just